Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to take some time and show you some of the navigation for World of Logs as it pertains to the healers. There's a link on the website in the members section that will take you to our little calendar entry page on World of Logs. I suggest that you go ahead and bookmark it, though if you're a serious raider then this is an incredibly beneficial tool to have at your disposal, so I really suggest taking the time after a raid to use it. We haven't really been raiding much lately. It's kind of a lull period before the release of the expansion, so our available options are somewhat limited. We'll go ahead and choose this. And as we come in here, we're presented with really kind of a huge amount of information. There's far more information here than what we are really going to find suitable. This is an overview of the entire night, and frankly, it's much more than you're going to need to know the vast majority of the time. So, go to the dashboard and go down to Healing Done. This will give you sort of an overview of the entire night, and while this may be something that you are curious about, it's not really something that's going to provide you with any kind of incredibly beneficial information the majority of the time. Yes, you can easily see from this if you have somebody that's completely not pulling their weight throughout the course of the encounters, but if you're going in here as a matter of kind of checking yourself, we'll pick on silver, then you'll want to view these fights on an individual basis. Now, quick recap what I did: I went to players, I scrolled down to the priests, and I chose silver, as Saracen is a shadow priest. This is an overall accounting of what happened for her for the night, but instead of that, what we want to do is focus on a single encounter, and just to pick one, we'll say Deathbringer Sourfang. You have a graphical representation of what was going on through the course of the fight. You can see the healing done, you can see damage done, damage taken, healing taken. Coming over to healing by spell, however, you get a lot more information. Now, what's really good in here is seeing things, for example, overhealing done. It's quite a large amount of overhealing. A lot of that will go to the fact that her primary source of healing is going to come through shields and such, and with all of the shielding that goes on and having a couple of extra healers present, it just kind of gets to be a bit much, especially when you incredibly outgear the content. So, what you're going to find here is information such as the amount of healing done in numbers and percentages. Mousing over that, you get a different representation of this. You'll get to see it in a graphical form. You'll get to see the number of regular casts throughout the fight, averages, totals. When you have something that has the ability to crit, you'll see a separate notice of hits and crits with numbers there. Direct healing is represented. HOTS, you have something showing for ticks. You can see uptime, totals. You can mouse over the actual abilities and get a tooltip courtesy of Wowhead to see exactly what it is that they do. This is something that it has a variety of uses, but one of the key ways that I, from a raid leader standpoint, will utilize this is to come in and make some comparisons between all of our healers as far as the amount of overhealing that gets done. And moving into Cataclysm, where mana efficiency becomes an issue, you need to cut back on your overhealing. So by me coming in here and seeing that we have a tremendous amount of overhealing going on, or we have very little going on and we're still having successful raids, then I know that either there's something that we're doing that's very inefficient, something that the healers need to look this over and communicate on to try and solve the problem so that it works out better for all of them, or that we're doing very well because we're still beating these bosses and the overhealing is down. Or if the overhealing is way down and we're dying, then that could be indicative of having some problems with not enough heals going out. So these are a nice way to just come in and kind of see what people are prioritizing, how effective things are being, how ineffective things can be. You can also see what sort of healing they were taking, including totals. If for some reason you have a healer that is taking a tremendous amount of damage and having to take a tremendous amount of heals, and there aren't any mechanics that are specifically geared to make things more difficult by damaging the healers, then you also can see that a healer may be taking time standing in something or taking additional damage from something that they really don't need to. And when they do that, they either have to heal themselves or someone else has to heal them, and that takes away healing from the rest of the raid. So that's another part where you can kind of spotlight an issue that someone may be having. Coming up to healing by actor, Stitcher is our raid healer, so it stands to reason that the vast majority of the healing that she actually took would come from Stitcher, so that plays in with what you would estimate it to be. I'm going to assume that the majority of this has come from her own shields, and as her primary focus here is shielding the raid and keeping an eye on the tanks, it seems that things are in a pretty good order here. On the other hand, if you have someone who's supposed to be doing the raid healing, and the vast majority of their healing is going to the tanks, and you have raid members who are dying, again, this can be a place where you can spot that there's some sort of a problem going on. Or, if you have very low numbers for your raid healers, and you have your tank healers showing much higher numbers in raid healing, then you can clearly see that they're having to compensate for lack of heals going out to the rest of the raid, and that someone isn't doing their job. There are infinitely more pieces of information in here than I'll ever begin to get into. As I said before, this is an incredibly helpful resource, and in a lot of ways it's sort of an information overload, especially if you're new to it and haven't really taken the opportunity to familiarize yourself with it. So please make a point of reviewing this after a raid night and see where you can find room for improvement. See where perhaps you need to increase your communication with your fellow healers, and just generally use this as a way to try and keep your efficiency levels up when healing in a raid. Again, in Cataclysm, mana management is going to be far more critical than what it was in Wrath of the Lich King, and with the massively increased health pools, it's going to change up the healing game considerably. So, that being said, in many ways, this site and the information that's available to you is going to become just that much more useful. It truly is in your best interest to use it, and I hope that you will do so. Thank you for watching.